Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy right here. This is the Nitecore TIP SE. First off, though, in the name of full disclosure, I want to thank Nitecore for sending this guy along. They reached out, said, "Hey Nick, we know you checked out the TIP 1 and the TIP 2. Do you want to check this out too?" I said, "Sure, why not?" Right? But as always, I told them, I sent them a disclaimer on my website. I told them I'm going to talk about the good, the great, the bad, the ugly. Might be a gem, might be junk. They still sent it along. We do have to assume, though, this is the very best quality controlled one of these guys ever, and I'm doing my best not to let that affect the nature or quality of my review. Next thing, let's do some size comparison real quick. First off, here it is against a standard AA battery. And we see it's a little bit longer than AA, and we see it's just about the same thickness, maybe a hair thicker, including the clip, than a AA. But it is not a particularly large light. Here it is against an 18650 battery. So what we see here is, yeah, there we go. Here it is against the EagTac. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted to compare against. Here it is against the EagTac D25A, which is a full-size flash. Well, I'm sorry, it's not a full-size flashlight. This is a full-size flashlight, but it is a real, it's a flashlighty flashlight. We'll talk about more what that means later on. But nonetheless, and then here it is against the ThruNite Neutron 2C, as well as against a ruler, and we see that this is about 6 centimeters by, about 1.5 centimeter, including the clip there. So there is that. The next thing, this is a follow-up to the Nitecore TIP. The original TIP was a very interesting light, but the output was actually much lower. This is about twice as strong in terms of output as the original TIP, and it's similar to the TIP 2, but it doesn't have that weird magnetic keychain detachment thing that the TIP 2 did. And so there is that. And then finally, there are not going to be any, beam shots. Oh my God, out in the woods with the looking down the country road thing, if that's what you're looking for. Probably want another review. I want to talk about how this functions in your daily life. So let's talk about the good, the great, the bad, the ugly of this very interesting little light. On the good side, to start with, this guy has a very nice beam pattern. Oh, no beam shots, but here is one. Right, what we see here is it's relatively floody, but there is a little bit of spot in the middle there. It's not completely spotty. It's not as spotty as, for instance, the EagTac here, where you can see there's a really strong spot in the middle and a little bit of flood. But still, it's a nice floody reflector there. Next thing, the light on this guy is a relatively cool color. Here, let me turn this down a little bit. But what you see here is it's a relatively cool light. It's not like a neutral. It's not a Chia or anything like that. But it works okay. Not a big problem. Next thing, the UI on this makes sense, right? If you hold down the power, so you get a power button and a mode switch button. Power, mode switch. Hold down the power button, you go immediately to low. If you just hit the power button, you go to high. And if you then hold down the mode switch button, if you click mode switch, it takes you low, medium, high, low, medium, high. But if you hold that down, turbo mode. And this takes us up to the full 700 lumens. This is a reasonable UI. It works well. It's pretty intuitive. There's not too much going on there. So that's good. Next thing, this does have a keychain / lanyard attachment in the back here. It works well, and it's nice and thin, making it going to, this isn't going to be one of those things that it sticks to your keychain, but really it's awkwardly held there because it doesn't fit the diameter of a key ring well. They did that nicely. Next thing, this is a USB rechargeable light. If we look at the side here, this is a USB-C port. And more importantly, and this is kind of a dumb thing to say, but it is an important one. If I plug this guy in, this is plugged directly into a USB-C power delivery charger. What we see here is we've got a red light there because the light is not fully charged. I'm going to plug it in now to a charger that is not USB power delivery. It is just a USB charger. Oh, no, that one's not plugged in. Whoops. Here we go. Here is just a regular boring charger, and now it's working too. What this means is that all of the USB-C ports I have tried this with, this light is willing to charge. And that's big. One of the biggest problems with USB-C in a flashlight is that it's not well supported. It's not universally the case that you plug something in and it works, unlike micro USB, where that's generally been the situation. So I am a big fan of the fact that the circuitry in here allows you to use, even though the USB-C charger that comes with a laptop, right? That works just fine for me too. And so I appreciate that very much. It's USB recharge, which is a great idea, but it's done a little bit better than everybody else has, and that's absolutely a great thing. Next thing, this has a 30-second shut-off mode. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this guy on, and we're going to sit here and we're going to talk. This has basically two different modes. One is called demo mode. The other one is called just daily mode. This guy shuts off automatically after 30 seconds. We're going to see that happen here. You can go ahead and time that. But you can also change that so that you have a manual shut-off mode. The advantage to this approach is that if you have this on your keychain, for instance, you might turn it on, but you probably don't want it to turn on for a long time necessarily, and you don't want it to accidentally turn on and stay on and drain the battery. There we go. See? Shut right down. There is a way to disable that, and then you get, manual on, manual off, that kind of thing. But this is sort of their solution to not having a lockout mode, is that at worst it can go on for 30 seconds at a time, unless you then turn it back on immediately, in which case it stays on. It works, it's okay, but yeah. Next thing, the form factor on this is very nice. It's very ergonomic, because it works very well in this kind of a position. It works very well between fingers. It works very well clipped to the brim of a hat, because you can do that because of this clip, the way it's arranged. It is, and by the way, you can also carry it in either direction. I can flip this clip right around here, and now it clips in this way, so that it is tip down, I suppose, or light down. Either way, it is very easy to carry, and it's very compact, right? This is something you could throw in the key pocket of your jeans very, very straightforwardly, and it works. The best flashlight is the one you've got on you, and this is a pretty easy light to have on you. Then finally, on the good side, the price on this is $30. That's right, $30. That is just fine with me, right? Very often, decent flashlights are going to cost more than that, and the ones in that kind of price range are very often relatively cheap or relatively bulky. This'll work. So $30 will absolutely work. That will do. So to me, all of that is the good. Is that the price is good, the form factor is good. It's got a 30-second shut-off mode, which kind of makes up for, I guess, sort of the lack of the lockout mode. It is USB-C rechargeable in a way that is accepting of many charger types, which I love. It has a good lanyard attachment, a fine UI, and the nice floody reflector. On the great side, to me, the output here is pretty impressive. Now, I'm taking the maker's word for lumen counts, right? But the thing is, I have verified them by looking at this relative to other lights, and it seems to be about in the ballpark. But the numbers that they give you is that on turbo mode, we are at 700 lumens, and I buy that. This is absolutely bright, and this is considerably brighter than other lights that are advertising, 400 or something like that. So that makes sense. The high mode is at 180 lumens, and you get, and by the way, you get 15 minutes on turbo mode total. That ain't a lot, but at the same time, that's a lot of light. You're probably not going to need that. The high mode is 180 lumens, and you get an hour and a half there. You get 8 hours in the medium mode, which is 30 lumens, and then you get 50 hours in low mode at 1 lumen. The thing is, these numbers may be a little hard to contextualize if you're not a flashlight geek. What this actually means, this is a real flashlight. This is a flashlight that you can keep in your pocket, and you have a flashlight. It's not sort of, there is a class of flashlights that are sort of very small, and they're like, oh, look, it's a little pocket light. But in practice, they tend to be just as good as the light in your phone, if not maybe a little worse, in that you have to remember to charge it and whatnot. Whereas this guy goes. This is a light. This is a flashlight. And this is a real flashlight. It is a flashlight that could very easily replace some of the other real flashlights that go on in the world. And I appreciate that very much. This works. This is enough light for a lot of situations. Certainly, it's not going to, replace the gigantic spotty beast that's going on in your world. It's not the situation here, but it is absolutely a real light. And as a result, this feels like a very, very credible pocket tool. I appreciate that very much. And to me, the output, the fact that this thing can manage 700 lumens is, that's pretty great. On the bad side, to start with, the color of the light, I said it's fine, and it is. But it is there's a little bit of chromatic aberration, that it is a little bluer in the center and a little warmer out to the outside. It's not the end of the world, but it is definitely a factor, and you'll want to keep that in mind. Next thing, if you are a person who needs a disco mode, that is a flashing light strobe mode, this does not have that. Is that really a problem? No, probably not, but that is something some people like. Next thing, run times on this are not necessarily amazing. Like I said, 15 minutes at 700 lumens. It's pretty bad for a flashlight, generally speaking. But the thing is, this is the size that it is. So it's like, okay, yeah, that'll work. Right, and remember that you can charge it anywhere, so that feels a little less worrisome. Even if you spend, if you're using this guy for an hour digging around the closet or something like that, All you need to do is plug it into the USB charger that's probably already sitting at your desk, and it's topped right up and ready to put back on your keychain in a second there. So I feel okay about it, even though I agree these runtimes aren't super long, but then again, it's not a big light, so whatever. Next thing, the clip on this guy, even as I mentioned in my first review of the tip, the clip needs a little bit more ramp. It is relatively low on there, and as a result, I found myself very often pushing the clip down a little bit to get the pants fabric underneath there, such that I could then pull it up onto there. Let's see if I can do this without a real pocket here. This is as much me, and I blind myself. Okay, well, this is going poorly, but nonetheless, there's not a lot of ramp here and there's not a lot of height, meaning that this guy isn't necessarily going to work so well if you're wearing thicker pants. Next thing, and actually last thing on the bad side, this is a little big for a keychain, right? It's about the size of a lot of your car kind of keychain dongle sorts of things, right? But, you know, so here you go. It's about there. But this is a bulky thing to have on your keychain, right? And so for keychain light, it's for certain values of keychain light, right? So do keep that in mind. The size of it it's tractable, and I carry worse on my keychain, but would I want to throw this on there too? Probably not. So to me, all that's the bad is that the keychain light size is a little bit generous there. The clip does need a little bit more ramp to be able to get onto the fabric there. It is still not great on runtime here. There is no disco modes, and the light color isn't amazing. On the ugly front, there is only one ugly issue, and I've said this about 3 generations of the tip now. There is no lockout mode. What I mean by this is there should be a very easy way to make it so these buttons don't work, so that I need to do something specific. Maybe have it so you have to hit down, up, down in order to turn it on the first time or something like that. This is bad because this means that if you put this guy in your pack, it could turn on in your pack and it could drain itself. Now, the demo mode thing, the thing that shuts it off after 30 seconds, makes this a lot less of a concern. It's not a major deal. And, you know, in practice, worst case scenario, if it goes on to turbo, not only are you going to have a very hot pocket, so to speak, but you're going to only lose a small amount of your runtime there. But this isn't super hard. The other thing you can do if you're just tossing it in your pack is you can flip the clip around to cover the buttons. That is a thing. However, even when you're doing that, you can still turn it on just by pressing down on the clip in a concerted way. It's probably not a big deal, but it isn't amazing. This is one of the things that makes me reluctant just to kind of toss it in a pocket, because it could very easily turn on accidentally. Whoa, sorry about that. It could very easily turn on accidentally, and that's not necessarily great. So I really desperately do wish that this thing had a lockout mode. We've had this discussion before, Nitecore. It's not that hard. Just make it so that if I triple tap this button, then next time I turn it on, I just need to do ding, 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 and then it turns on. That would just be so much easier. They don't seem to actually watch the reviews or listen to their customers on this one. Dudes, come on. So the fact that this has no lockout mode is kind of a dumb thing to me. The demo mode is kind of a hack around it, but it ain't that hard. Just and now it's on. Easy peasy, lemon freaking squeezy. So to me, that's ugly. No lockout mode still. Final conclusion. Look, this is the Nitecore tip. Nitecore tip's a great light, but this has twice the output at similar runtimes. That's good. And it remains the Nitecore tip, right? With a good form factor, that is. A nice flat light with the button on the side is good. It's got a USB charge, respecting different standards. It's got a nice approach to keychain mounting. And then it is a real flashlight with very impressive output for a very small package. The light's not devoid of issues, with color that's, the clip that's not that great. It's not an all-night-long sort of lasting knife. No, it's not an all-night-long sort of lasting knife. That's true. It's a flashlight. And there's no lockout mode still, but it is surprisingly good. This is an actually capable light. Like, this is a flashlight. Like, I could hand this to somebody, and it's not like the little keychain, like, oh, look, I got a keychain light, and it lights up the key, the doorway key, so I can put my keys in it. No, this is like, this lights up the side of your damn house. That's the level we're at here. And so this is a real, actual light that actually fits into your coin pocket. For the original, from my review, I quote, "It is a perfectly reasonable intermediate step between your phone light and an actual serious flashlight." And I meant that at the time. And the Nitecore Tip 2 form factor was good, but a little bit funky. So it didn't feel as much like an upgrade as just that's new. But this is just the tip but brought into the realm of serious flashlights. This is great. The fact that they took this thing, which at the time, and still isn't that much bigger than the historical single LED, like I'm going to light up a keyhole flashlight, and they packed enough power to light up the side of your damn house. That's good. And that's frankly enough, and it overcomes what problems remain there. Once you add in the Go Anywhere USB recharge, you have a pretty serious daily tool. And particularly when this is markedly brighter than any phone flashlight that I'm aware of, at least, and it's frankly brighter than a lot of the dedicated pocket lights out there, this is a serious actual flashlight. This light, in terms of daily brightness, outperforms the EGTAC D25A, which has been my go-to recommendation for a pocket-style flashlight for a long time. Given it doesn't have the same flexibility, it doesn't have the strobe modes, it doesn't have all of those other things, and the light pattern's a little bit different, the light quality's but still, this is a serious flashlight that is on realm with some of the other serious flashlights out there in the world. This tosses more light than this and is a much smaller and much easier to carry sort of form factor. So in everything but absolute runtime and like flexibility of options, this can run with the serious lights. This can keep up with your full-size cylinder style lights out there in the world in a way that I didn't really particularly miss having one of these when I had one of these. And that is really amazing. So to me, at least, given that the price tag is also $30, making this pretty reasonable, it's very hard not to recommend this. This is a light that I have already been sending people to. This is a really great light, and it is a really nice little gifty sort of thing. You know, I don't get too much into the, Christmas season hype thing, but this is a pretty decent gift for an EDC sort of person, right? Because you are getting something that is it's not so absurdly expensive that you're going to need to research, but it can also work for somebody who's not even an EDC geek. You can hand this to somebody and they're just like, here, you press this button, it makes light. When it stops making light, you put a plug into this and then it makes light again. Like, that's the nature of it. So I'm pretty impressed with this guy. Even with a couple of little annoying things about it, like the lockout. Come on, Nitecore. This is a gem. This is a really, really nice, serious flashlight that fits the kind of size profile that used to be the realm of stupid novelty lights. And I appreciate this very much. So Nitecore, well done. You could do a little better with a couple of tweaks, just saying, but well done. It is in the middle of that zone where budget, performance, and carryability overlap, and I can very easily see myself tipping a lot of folks off about this particular light's existence. So there you go. Hope this has been interesting, that this lit up your life, and that you have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Take it easy. See? No, that wasn't even good. All right. Bye now.